Cape Media Center, building community through media.
Before the new age of commercial airliners and in-flight movies, the United States Navy decided to set its sights on a very daring goal: to complete the first transatlantic flight by aircraft. Their ride? The massive NC seaplanes, NC for Navy Curtiss, named after aviation pioneer Glenn Curtiss, one of the godfathers of seaplane technology. These weren't your average flying machines, with a wingspan stretching 126 feet, even wider than a Boeing 737, and enough room to carry 51 people. The NCs were the giants of their time. On May 8, 1919, the NC-4 launched from the Naval Air Station Rockaway in Queens, New York, along with its sister ships NC-1 and NC-3. Their mission? Make history. Their crew was a bold mix of Navy and Coast Guard aviators ready to take on the unknown. But fate had other plans. Just hours into the flight, somewhere between New York and Halifax, two of NC-4's 4 engines gave out. Landing at sea in the afternoon of May 8th, the plane was taxied to the newly constructed Naval Air Station in Chatham, Massachusetts. After nearly a week of weather delays and much-needed repairs, the NC-4 was ready to fly again, and what would happen next would go down in aviation history. On May 27, 1919, the NC-4 soared across the Atlantic, beating its sister planes to Lisbon, Portugal, where it was met by cheering crowds. From there, it continued to Plymouth, England, completing a journey no aircraft had ever done before, the first transatlantic flight. Chatham's Naval Air Station would shut down just a few years later, but its role in helping the NC-4 is etched into history. In 1969, for the 50th anniversary, the Smithsonian and the U.S. Navy restored the legendary flying boat. You can now see it in all of its glory at the National Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, Florida. Millions have crossed the Atlantic since that day, but the honor of being the first belongs to Lieutenant Commander Albert C. Reed, his fearless crew of 5, and the indomitable spirit of the U.S. Navy's NC-4.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
Tucked in the small village of Marston's Mills is the Fig Tree Cafe. Formerly known to locals as The Mills, the new owner Maria made the place her own.
I purchased this restaurant in September of 16th of 2020, so right in the middle of COVID, pretty much. It definitely was like a dream of mine, and this restaurant, a lot of the ideas came to me from many, many years of experience of dining out myself or working in restaurants, but also I'm honoring my parents. They're both from Italy. They both were amazing cooks. I love to cook as well. And my father, he was a master gardener, and he specialized in trees. And fig trees was one of his most popular plants, the trees. And then my mom would take the figs that he grew, and she would make biscotti and different cookies. And so I really thought hard, what am I going to call this place? And it just made sense. So what's unique about our restaurant is mostly everything is scratch made. We use really high quality ingredients, and we have a really good variety of options for people with special diets, like gluten-free items. We have separate gluten-free and vegan menu. We use a lot of clean ingredients, organic ingredients, and we just like to get creative with our menu. So especially in the winter, we have a lot of unique specials.
The Fig Tree always has a packed parking lot in the summer, with the hustle and bustle rarely quieting. But when Cape Cod slows down from November through late May, how does this beloved cafe make it through?
Businesses on the Cape try to maximize their business in the summertime, and winters can be a struggle, but we basically try to get, like I said, really creative with our menu and change it up every week just so that it creates something exciting for people to try. They want to come back. And I'm a firm believer that if you put out like an amazing meal, the word will get around. And I think that's the best advertisement. People start talking to their neighbors or friends, start spreading the word about us. It is slower, and sometimes we get nervous. I'm pretty established now. It's been 5.5 years. In the beginning, it was really tough. You just have to hang in there and just keep putting out the best service and food you can, and hopefully, like I said, the word will get around and you'll have like a steady business. Plus, I have steady customers. I have regulars that come in. They're like family to us. We know their name. We know what they order most of the time. So that is also really important, to be like part of the community and have a community meeting place where everybody knows your name. It's important. You have to take care of the people in your community because they're the ones who keep you floating, really. So, and it wasn't easy at first because I changed the name of the restaurant, and a lot of locals did not like that. But I had to make it my own. I waited so long for this, and there's a special meaning behind it as well. So the previous owners did a great job. So I was able to take what they built and just elevate it a little bit more.
When stopping by the Cozy Cafe, it's clear the staff loves to be there as much as the customers do, which makes for a great experience that keeps people coming in even when it's cold.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
Every year, the Blue Economy Foundation puts on their big day of career exploration, WaterWORKS.
WaterWORKS is our Blue Economy and STEM Career Day, where we invite exhibitors from all different Blue Economy businesses and organizations like educators to come and talk to students from across the Cape, the Islands, and Plymouth about what it takes to get into a career in Blue Economy.
Exhibitors from up and down the Cape gathered at Cape Cod Community College to talk about what opportunities lie in the future for both students and job-seeking adults.
We just want to get our name out there and connect with other like-minded organizations in the area. Also connect with a younger generation of people who can be passionate about clean water and environmental issues. Give them opportunities to both volunteer and learn a little bit from us. So it's kind of a win-win where we get something out of it and the students get something out of it.
I'm really interested in the STEM field, and I'm hoping to kind of become more comfortable with what exactly that can offer me and what jobs actually exist out there in that sort of area, and this feels like a pretty good start.
We wanted to participate in WaterWORKS because we are firm believers and supporters of the Blue Economy and that we are an anchor employer for Cape Cod. We have about 1,000 employees, scientists, and schools that we contribute to the economy here, and so it's very important that we're here and want to just talk to young people in early career about our mission.
As well as meeting professionals in Blue Economy and STEM careers, students had an opportunity to listen to panel discussions organized by Mass Hire, Cape and Islands Workforce Board.
Well, a big part of Mass Hire is career pipelines and helping people figure out what their next step is going to be towards a sustainable career. And obviously with the first part of WaterWORKS being geared towards high school students, it helps them figure out that direction they want to go.
But there's just such a wide variety of careers you can have within the environmental field that I think maybe people aren't as open to. You could be in a lab or in an office or in the field. So lots of opportunities where you're not just kind of pigeonholed into one thing.
The event promoted Blue Economy businesses by providing a platform to demonstrate their work, share internships, as well as employment opportunities.
We work all the time with towns, municipalities, nonprofits all over Cape. A lot of people know us, a lot of people see us, recognize us. So we think that it's important to target people who are on Cape currently, who might live on Cape, who have experienced this place, going to school here, who have learned about shellfishing in their classes, and want to continue serving the community. We get people from all over the country, but we also want to make sure that we're getting people who are familiar with the place, who want to help out some place that they already love, because we also really love it.
I think it's important for them to understand that there are opportunities at home for students that are looking to go elsewhere and, study or vocational training, other areas not on the Cape, but that there is some place for them to come back to at their home.
There's a lot to offer about our environment, and I think a lot of people think that there's a lot of parallels with here and other places, but we are really a unique place, and this, I think, highlights that.
For the past few years that the Career Day has been going on, it has only been for high school students. In recent years, the Blue Economy Foundation decided to open it up to the public.
Even if it's just a handful of people, there are some connections made here, and so people get some employment in fields that are otherwise not at regular job fairs or that might not be on every job board. They're a little bit different.
The Cape is a wonderful place to live, but sometimes it can be difficult navigating ways to make a lifestyle here. And when you have an opportunity like this to work with both students and employers with one of the best facets of the Cape, which is, of course, our blue economy, it's a great way to, again, connect those dots.
It was an educational and inspiring day for all who attended. Make sure to check out bluecapecod.org for more opportunities just like this one.
With over 500 nonprofits on the Cape, it can be difficult to make your organization's message heard. That's where video comes in. It can engage your intended audience and allow for better retention, improved clarity, and understanding. Cape Media Center is willing to help your organization create a persuasive message through the power of video. For a small fee, we'll work with you to create a compelling public service announcement and even produce a full-length television segment showcasing your nonprofit in depth. Once completed, these videos will run on Comcast Channel 26, Roku TV, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Plus, your organization can use these videos in your own newsletter, website, and social media platforms at no additional cost. So let's work together to strengthen your outreach and better serve our community. Cape Media Center, building community through media.
For those who have driven past this location since the early 2000s, it may be difficult to believe that this was once a vast expanse of cranberry bogs. What we're seeing now is the result of a couple of decades worth of planning and eventual execution of a massive ecological restoration project that the Harwich Conservation Trust took on since purchasing these erstwhile bogs from the Kroll family back in 2001.
We created this eco-restoration outcome where we have restored water quality with Coal Brook flowing freely for the first time in over a century. We have thriving wildlife habitats, and we have a beautiful new trail system, including a half-mile wheelchair-accessible loop.
Named for the late founder and president of the Harwich Conservation Trust, the accessible trail has already proven to be a huge draw for the property. It's almost perfectly flat and easy to move across, and it's level with the several bridges that have been built over Coal Brook, giving its visitors plenty to look at.
The views are just extraordinary. When they come into the parking lot, whether it's a short-term visit to just take a lunch break, or whether they have more time on their hands and they want to take a longer loop, they can embark on this half-mile all-persons trail, a wheelchair-accessible loop. We're hearing from folks that might have had joint replacements or maybe some arthritis, and they want a stable surface to walk on. Families with youngsters and strollers are also enjoying it.
In that regard, the trail has earned itself the title of Ideal Lunch Break Hike for locals. And for those who may want to venture beyond the half-mile loop trail, there are options.
Here on this corner is where the two paths converge, and the trail goes from being wheelchair accessible to something a little more rugged. But if we continue moving forward in this direction, we'll come across the 100-foot bridge where we can take in some more views.
In our travels, we can see that the property is made up of 4 interconnected ponds. The first 3 are fresh water, and from the 100-foot bridge, we can see the 4th pond, which is a brackish mix of fresh and salt water. This eventually leads out to the edge of the property on Hoyt Road and continues on to Saquatucket Harbor. One other element that may stand out to first-time visitors to the property is the sheer volume of birdhouses that dot the landscape, and there's a good reason for it.
There has been an enormous increase in wildlife and avian activity. The avian count is somewhere around 162 species that have been documented on this site since we started keeping a count at the end of construction.
In its visual simplicity and natural beauty, the Brook Preserve may be a helpful reminder for Cape residents, particularly those who have called it home for the past few decades, that there are still places on this special East Coast peninsula known as Cape Cod that are off limits for development.
My mom and dad raised my brother and I on the Cape. And so growing up on the Cape, especially in the 80s, I saw a lot of changes. I saw a lot of the wild places that I would turn to and explore. I saw them disappear. So it made an impact on me, and I'm so grateful to be able to work with the community and our project partners on efforts to restore and renew wild places like this.
But while all of this scenery is easy on the eyes, the truth is getting to this stage was no easy feat. As a reminder to visitors as to just how much work was involved in its creation, they've set up these information stations explaining the how and why of it all.
Part of what we hope people can understand is the complexity of this project and the complexity of the work that turned it from a cranberry bog into what they are seeing.
Cape Media Center, building community through media.
The Rotary. It's an obstacle that countless Cape Cod residents have to circumnavigate every single day in some way, shape, or form. For many of them, it may very well be the most stressful part of their day, which is understandable. There's a bit of a chaotic element to multiple lanes of traffic with several points of exit and entry all meeting up in the same circle at varying speeds. For visitors to Cape Cod arriving here by way of the Bourne Bridge, the Bourne Rotary is the first thing they see, and when they're done with it, it's likely the last thing they want to see. Again, that chaotic element is front and center here. Of course, not every vehicular roulette wheel offers up the same white-knuckle experience. Here at the west end of Hyannis, the Rotary has a much more relaxed atmosphere, with everyone coming and going with relative ease and order. This pattern seems to continue with each traffic circle the farther we get from the hustle and bustle. In fact, in the more rural areas, the name even changes to something a little more polite sounding. The roundabout. It's got a bit of a European air about it. But for our European friends who are accustomed to driving on the left side of the road and traveling around the circle in a clockwise motion, there's this little sign here as a reminder. Now, if we're talking about one of the most unique, historical, and least stressful roundabout traffic circle rotaries around, we'll have to take a trip to this neighborhood that hugs the Bass River in South Yarmouth, where River and Pleasant Streets converge.
They say one way to know who the tourist is and who the local is that the tourist will actually go around this traffic circle while the locals just drive right through. But no matter how drivers approach it, it's entirely possible that this little roundabout was the precursor to the modern-day Rotary.
Quite often, the rotaries that we come across in our travels tend to have some type of landscaping on the inner circle. What stands out about this one here on River and Pleasant is that it's a two-tiered brick structure. So while it's known as the first rotary in the United States, that may not have even been its original intention.
This rotary traffic circle, whatever you would like to call it, put here about 1904, 1905 by a gentleman named Charles Henry Davis, a local here, lived right across the street. It originally started as an animal watering trough. As to whether he plunked it here as an animal watering trough or a rotary, not really sure whether it started out as one and graduated to the other or had an original purpose.
Although he may have inadvertently started the trend of rotaries from coast to coast, it's possible that Davis's involvement with the National Highway Association as one of its founding members had a direct impact on the roadways that we take for granted on a day-to-day basis.
I wouldn't necessarily say his fingerprints are on it, but his ideas are probably parts of it. Probably making more direct routes to and from various places. At the dawn of the automobile, people were becoming more mobile, relying less on animal transportation and more machines. Early cars obviously didn't go that fast, but they couldn't handle the kind of rough terrain like a horse could as much. So they were trying to level ground and make more direct routes to certain areas instead of like S-curves and everything around the landscape. It was more a straight shot, as much as one could have.
100 years ago, Davis probably didn't envision the kind of clutter that today's modern-day roadways endure. As for the lasting legacy of his old neighborhood roundabout, Sam Lawrence has an affinity for the trivia that it provides.
To me, this is exactly what I want it to be. It's an obscure fact that you can bring up in a topic of conversation and surprise someone. Hey, did you know that the first rotary in the country was right here in South Yarmouth? Some people will know. You get out of town, people will go, no, I didn't know that. Where is it? Oh, it's right in the middle of the road in South Yarmouth. Oh, the thing that we ignore all the time? Yes, the thing that you ignore all the time.
It's mid to late afternoon on the corner of Shad Hole and C Street in Dennisport, while Ben Monachino is doing a sound check with the backdrop of waves gently crashing on the beach, about 100 or so feet behind and below him. Probably not a bad first impression for a band that's never played here before. Of course, it will look much different by the time the three-piece version of this band takes the floor when the evening rolls around. But for the musical outfit known as Little Miss and the Boom, it feels like the start of a whole new adventure.
We're really excited to play here. This is our first time down on the Cape. Expectations is just to create a mood and a vibe for the people that come out to see us. We're looking to, play more down in the Cape more frequently, and just more importantly, share our music.
The Pelham House Resort sits right on top of C Street Beach and has earned a reputation as the place to go for all things wedding during the time of year when the weather is warm. In recent years, though, they've begun utilizing their advantageous location during those other months when it's not so warm and when other places may not even have their doors open.
During the summer on Cape Cod, there's no shortage of places to go for live music and entertainment. Of course, that all changes when the leaves turn brown and there's snow on the ground. But somehow, the Pelham House here in Dennisport has found a way to buck that trend, and they've been doing it with their winter concert series, Upstairs and Downstairs.
When we dropped by, we were upstairs for the first Friday of that winter session.
Once our wedding season comes to an end, we really try to come up with some creative experiences that people can come to on Cape Cod. So this being one of them for the Nantucket Sound session. This is our second year of our rooftop lounge here, where we'll have music every Friday night from 5 to 8.
The room itself is actually quite cozy, and seeing as the band was playing a selection of loungy jazz covers and originals, the pairing seemed like a match made in heaven.
This is more of a intimate setting that people can just kind of unwind. On the rooftop you can enjoy dinner, but in here it's kind of a place where you can linger a little longer and listen to the music and maybe grab a drink before your dinner on the rooftop or spend your night in here.
People coming to see Little Miss and the Boom for the first time may notice that the singer looks like a well-drawn cartoon character from a 1950s comic book in the flesh, while the music sounds like something from a Sean Connery-era James Bond movie. What makes their charm so unique is that they've been able to merge their style with their sound.
It's definitely part of the band. Flows in from just, me turning into the woman that I always wanted to be. I've always just been enamored with that old Hollywood glamorous look. Anything from the 1920s through the 50s, I've always just been in love with. So the look really kind of just got integrated into the band as I developed my persona.
And if it seems like she has good chemistry with her backing players, that's no accident. Well, with one of them at least. The guitarist Ben also happens to be her husband.
I love that he's my best friend and I get to come to work with him, so that's really, really fun for me. And if anything, he's my rock on stage. If I have a blooper moment, he's always the person that I look at for just assurance and confidence, so it's really nice to have that, that level of an intimate relationship on stage with you.
In an ideal scenario, that chemistry, style, and sound will translate to an audience that keeps coming back to see them on Friday nights here at the Pelham House.
I'm hoping that they had a wonderful time enjoying the music, enjoying the libations and the food here, and then finding some solace that, that there's these amazing places all around the Cape that you can visit in the off season. And hey, some of them might have some really cool music too. So they should check out more places like this.
Hey, I'm Kayla. I was an intern at Cape Media Center back in 2019, and that experience totally launched my career in media.
And I'm Destiny. I was right there with Kayla in 2019, learning everything from camera work to editing and loving every second of it.
The staff here at Cape Media Center were always hands-on and always willing to answer our questions, especially with our final project.
We created a series of videos called the Blue Economy Project, where we dove deeper into how the ocean plays a vital role in Cape Cod's economy.
The series was well approved, and we couldn't have done it without the Cape Media Center.
Fast forward to now, I'm working in live music production and have even worked at venues such as Gillette Stadium and Fenway Park.
And I actually came full circle. I'm back at the Cape Media Center, this time on staff.
Cape Media Center gave us the tools, the confidence, and the real-world experience to chase our creative goals.
It's more than just a media center, it's a launch pad for your future.
Start your story at Cape Media Center in Dennisport.
Cape Media Center, your voice, your vision, your community.